Scorpio and Ophiuchus, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for November 28th through the 4th of December 2016. I'm Athen, and this channel is about using the actual constellations in the sky, known as Sidereal Astrology. If you are new, be sure to check out the link down below because the signs are different, which means your sign might be different, and you'll want to watch this for the right sign. All right, so this week, happy birthday for those of you who have your sun sign birthdays this week, but all of you do have a lot of energy in your first house. We have a new moon right at the beginning of the week in your first house. And so it's a time of, first of all, listening and seeing what is shaping up, what is changing. This is a cyclical thing, happens once a year, especially in this case for you Scorpios. Sometimes it's Ophiuchus, sometimes it's Scorpio. But for both of you, I think a time of planting some new seeds this week, seeing what takes root, and cultivating them as we go into the coming weeks and even coming months, because again, 6 months from now will be the cultivation of a lot of the things that you start here moving forward at this time of the year. So it could all have to do with your goals, could have to do with your personal aspirations, could have to do with your independence. These are all first house things, but fundamentally you and your life. Saturn's here, so it's been a good time for both of you to really take the responsible side to life, if you will. Maybe involving those goals, maybe involving those responsibilities and things, and that independence, taking that seriously. So as you approach this new moon, I think it's still good to have that bit of patience, have the bit of persistence. You know, this is Saturn, things are coming in time, and it does require a bit of that slow and steady, future-oriented, now, living present, but understanding that things do come in time, they do take hard work, and they do take responsibility. So that's the new beginning there, and we do have a few things going on this early part of the week as well. First of all, Mercury is going to be shifting into your second house, really putting an emphasis on the second. So this is the house of your resources, both inner and outer. I think this has already been an area with Venus here you can be enjoying. Maybe the luxurious life or the values in your external environment is quite possible. But at the very least, I think connecting to your self-reliance, all right, and your sense of self-worth and enjoying, I think, maybe even your natural gifts and natural abilities. All right, this is all second house stuff. And there probably was some transformation with this last week when Venus went over Pluto. But that's easing up. Mercury coming in here can give you quite a mental aptitude, in fact. Maybe some of you might be getting into a budget or really understanding more about what your time's worth, what your energy's worth, more about your resources, really getting to the practical side of it. So very good there. I think you'll notice that unlocks your mind, gives you even a bit of inspiration in Sagittarius, which is good. Mercury does rule your 8th house, emphasizing that it could be that you're seeing it deeply or doing the research, really getting down to the bottom of these values of yours and really perhaps seeing what your true values are, beyond the surface level of them. What is it that you truly connect to about them? And Mercury rules your 11th also, so you could be seeing the value about your friends or network circles, which is good, and maybe about your aspirations, future things. So that's the shift. Around the same time, Venus is going to be squaring up to Uranus from the 2nd. So around Tuesday and Wednesday, if you are feeling like there's something that you're wanting to make a rash decision with, or there's something that's coming at you, or you're busy or something like that. Usually Uranus is a very high frequency, high moving kind of an energy, especially in a square. And so whether it's internal or external, it's good to sort of take a step back with the square, be as centered as we can, be aware of any side of ourselves that does want to react or make impulsive decisions or something like that. And with that presence, this becomes very constructive. And this is essentially that there's this freedom that's trying to come through, trying to come through your value sector, trying to even come through perhaps your relationships. Venus does rule your 7th house, and maybe even trying to get a bit more of a rest and relaxation or a receptive approach to life. Okay, so this is within and without, external as well. But listen to that. Listen to that freedom because there's something there, and implement it nice and slowly, right? Without the rashness, without the reaction. And I think what you'll find is, yes, things are changing in this sense for the better, in the sense that, yes, you can have a bit more freedom with the resources, with the values, with the relationships. And so you can have a bit more of that receptive approach to life. And this is a Uranus in your 5th house, so it might have to do with self-expression. In fact, it's really good for you to be expressing yourself in balanced ways. And that might be where the freedom is really trying to come through, is for you to find the freedom of what it's like when we truly express ourselves and we're free to express ourselves, whatever that might be. It might be verbally, it might be through a medium or creative or something like that. But yeah, that's a bit of an inclination of what that could be about. So anyways, that's the square. It's also healing. Venus will be sextiling Chiron at the same time. So there is this sense of, I think, rejuvenation with the self-expression. Chiron, in fact, goes direct right after that here around Thursday. And there's definitely this shift going into the second half of the week with that rejuvenation of Chiron. And then as we come out of this more new moon, internal sort of time period, and having to, again, work on, whatever this is. And I think it's internal because it's the new moon sort of thing. But after that, as the moon starts to gain momentum in the crescent phase, we have this beautiful Mars trine up to Jupiter. So this is very inspiring, very motivating, definitely a shift in the second half. And so this could be specifically with what has been motivating you already, or wherever you have been putting your attention these past few weeks, regarding ideas or regarding learning or regarding sharing your ideas, or just sharing in general, maybe connecting with your community or with peers or something like that. Or some of you are doing a lot of reading or taking a course, some of you, or maybe some of you are writing, sharing your information with others. So whatever that is, and some of you even trading, I want to say too, maybe, again, the marketplace, but goods and communication, that kind of a thing. But anyways, whatever this has been, regarding the intellectual, regarding the communicative, you have a lot of positive support here for this. Mars, of course, being your ruler, is that you can be feeling quite inspired or seeing potentials this second half. At least you're very supportive to do that. And when, things are easy like this, sometimes we can rest on our laurels. We can be like, oh yeah, we'll get to that next week, because we're feeling good about it, but it's like, we don't really push ourselves. But this is the kind of aspect where you do want to take action. You do want to initiate some matters. If you're feeling inspired, if you're feeling like maybe there's an opportunity, something might present itself for some of you. And Mars does rule your sixth, so it could have to do with maybe your work or your routine or your everyday stuff. Your self-improvement even could be inspiring. And this is a Jupiter in the 11th, mind you, which is the house of your aspirations. So I think, lately, past few months, or I think it's been about 6 months or more now with Jupiter in Virgo, there is this inspiration to be cultivating your future aspirations. And it might be your hopes, wishes, whatever, future things. So you've got the inspiration. It's very supportive. It could be motivating you. It could be inspiring you. Maybe even connecting with network circles or your friends or groups. That's also very supportive with this. But yeah, whatever it is, I think all of you should feel, or at the very least, this bit of inspiration, this bit of open-mindedness. And I think it's just an excellent week to move that forward. And you'll find too, as we get into the weekend, maybe there's a bit of reserve. You're maybe feeling quite grounded. You are patient. You are feeling responsible. This is your ruler sextiling up to Saturn as we get into the weekend, really supporting that. And again, supporting these new beginnings with Saturn in the first. Okay, so the way I would sum up this week is essentially that right at the beginning, there's a new moon. There's new seeds being planted. It's very receptive at first, but we'll sort of get an inclination of that as the week unfolds. In this first half, I think, again, awareness, presence, to be aware of that freedom and to implement that in a healthy way. Chiron goes direct. There's definitely that shift. Again, this is, a lot of things here involving your values, what you value, who you value. A lot to learn with that with Mercury. But then as we get into the second half of the week, there is this inspiration. There is this perhaps motivation. And I think it has to do with the beauty and the things that you enjoy about learning, about sharing, about communication. And even with Jupiter in the 11th, about these future things. And maybe even too, being a part of something larger than yourself, progressive. This is like the technology, internet, things like that for some of you also. So very supportive, very good for the second half and going into next week. And again, this is all part of the new beginnings for both of you, for the first house. All right, so Scorpio and Ophiuchus, have a fantastic week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next week.